Overthinking begins when the mind refuses to stop analyzing every situation repeatedly. One thought leads to another, creating a continuous loop that feels impossible to escape. Instead of finding solutions, the mind becomes trapped in mental repetition, where clarity slowly disappears and confusion takes control of inner awareness and emotional stability. Throughout daily life, the mind overthinks because it believes a perfect answer exists for every situation. It keeps searching, rechecking, and reconsidering every possibility in the hope of certainty. This desire for perfection creates mental pressure, because life rarely offers complete answers. As a result, thinking becomes heavier, slower, and emotionally draining instead of helpful or solution-focused. At the root of overthinking lies fear. Fear of mistakes, failure, rejection, or regret. The mind tries to prevent pain by imagining every possible outcome in advance. Instead of feeling protected, this process creates more anxiety. The fear of uncertainty keeps the mind active even when there is nothing useful left to analyze or decide. Constant overthinking drains emotional energy slowly but deeply. The mind never gets a chance to rest because thoughts continue even during quiet moments. This creates mental fatigue, irritability, and confusion. Over time, even simple decisions begin to feel overwhelming because the mind is already exhausted from constant internal processing and emotional overactivity. Overthinking leads to analysis paralysis, where too much thinking stops action completely. The mind keeps evaluating options without making decisions, fearing the possibility of choosing wrongly. This delay creates frustration and stagnation as opportunities pass while the mind remains stuck in endless evaluation instead of moving forward with clarity and confidence. Getting rid of overthinking begins when thoughts are observed instead of followed blindly. The mind does not need to engage with every idea it produces. Awareness creates distance between thinking and reacting, allowing clarity to return. When thoughts are seen as mental activity rather than truth, their control over emotions slowly weakens. Overthinking survives through repetition, the same thoughts replayed again and again without resolution. Breaking this cycle requires conscious interruption. When the mind shifts attention away from repetitive thinking, even briefly, it begins to reset. This creates space for fresh perspective, reducing the emotional intensity attached to old thoughts and worries. The mind overthinks most when it is disconnected from action. Bringing attention to the present moment reduces unnecessary mental activity. Small actions, simple routines, and grounded focus help redirect energy from thinking to doing. As action increases, overthinking naturally decreases because the mind becomes occupied with reality instead of imagination. Overthinking weakens when the mind accepts that uncertainty is a natural part of life. Not everything can be predicted or controlled in advance. Accepting this truth reduces mental pressure and stops the endless search for certainty. Peace begins when the mind learns to function without needing complete answers for every situation. Getting rid of overthinking is not about stopping thoughts completely. It is about not being controlled by them. As awareness grows, the mind becomes calmer, clearer, and more balanced. Thoughts still appear, but they no longer dominate. This creates space for peace, focus, and emotional stability to return naturally. Overthinking can be reduced through simple but powerful mental habits. First, practice awareness. Notice thoughts without following every direction they take. Second, focus on action, because doing reduces unnecessary thinking. Third, limit mental repetition by asking whether a thought is useful or just fear-based. Fourth, accept uncertainty. Not everything needs a perfect answer. Fifth, ground yourself in the present through breathing, routine, or physical activity. These 5 steps help break the cycle of endless thinking and restore clarity. Over time, the mind becomes calmer, more focused, and less controlled by fear, doubt, and repetitive mental patterns that drain energy.